Folks, I don't know if you've been following the saga, the implosion of the Young Turks, but everybody's calling them out for their CIA repeating, imperialist pushing propaganda Young Turks, right? And they're, for whatever reason, they're constantly lying about Syria, and they're smearing anybody who tells you the truth about Syria, like they smeared Aaron Mate as being paid by the Russians and being paid by Assad, and as they tried to launch a bogus hashtag #MeToo smear at me because we've been calling out there. But they didn't do that to Roger Waters, who's from Pink Floyd. He called them out, too. He said the Young Turks are the status quo, which is what they are. And this is what Jank Uger said about Roger Waters.
And the one thing that is enormously true is no, Jimmy does not have an HR department. No. That is for sure. Now, this is not the only instance of these guys, again, pretending to be on the left, going after our appearances. So Roger Waters was on. They're so ecstatic. They're like, oh my God, a random Pink Floyd guy from like 80 years ago. He's got to be the chemical weapons expert in Syria, and he's got to be the progressive policy expert that we all dream about. He's on with Katie Halper and others. But instead of talking about that, first he called me.
So that's Jank trying to dismiss Roger Waters as a nothing, as a nobody, a random Pink Floyd guy from 80 years ago. Again, his analysis is faltering, to say the least. If you want to know what's happening in the world, I wouldn't go to that guy, that sweaty-looking guy, okay? Guy can't even put on powder on his face. He knows he's going to be sweating, and he does it anyway. So here we go. Roger Waters the next day was trending. That's how irrelevant Roger Waters is. Some random Pink Floyd guy from 80 years ago who doesn't know anything. Not like Jank Uger. Some random, you mean Roger Waters, the famous activist, civil rights activist, anti-war activist? You mean that guy, political activist, famous? And his art, by the way, so there's Jank saying that. There's this. And then, of course, we give you the...
He's done it again. He's done it again.
That is a fact.
You fucking little bastard.
He does it.
He's done it again. You dirty bastard. You've done it again.
So here, why was Roger Waters trending? The rock legend, Roger Waters. Because Mark Zuckerberg, the owner of Facebook, the world's most popular social app, wanted to use a piece of art created by Roger Waters. He wanted to use one of the songs he'd written to help promote Facebook and Instagram. And Roger Waters had this to say. So because he's still relevant, because his art is still relevant, Jank.
This is something that I actually put in my folder when I came out here today. You have no idea what it is. Nobody does, because it arrived on the internet to me this morning. It's a request for the rights to use my song, Another Brick in the Wall 2, in the making of a film to promote Instagram. So it's a missive. It's a missive from Mark Zuckerberg to me, right? Arrived this morning with an offer of a huge, huge amount of money. And the answer is, fuck you. No fucking way. And I only mention that because this is an insidious, it's the insidious movement of them to take over absolutely everything, you know. So those of us who do have any power, and I do have a little bit, in terms of the control of the publishing of my songs, I do anyway. So I will not be a party to this bullshit, Zuckerberg. We want to thank you for considering this project. We feel that the core sentiment of this song is still so prevalent and necessary today, which speaks to how timeless a work is true. And yet they want to sojourn it. They want to use it to make Facebook and Instagram even bigger and more powerful than it already is, so that it can continue to censor all of us in this room and prevent this story about Julian Assange getting out to the general public, so the general public could go, what? What? No, no more. Nada más. Zuckerberg features in my new rock and roll show. I've got him no, I shouldn't tell you. But he does. But you think, how did this little prick, who started off by saying, she's pretty, we'll give her a 4 out of 5. She's ugly, we'll give her a 1. How the did he get any power in anything? And yet here he is, one of the most powerful idiots in the world.
So that's why Roger Waters is still relevant, Jank. Unlike you, he's anti-censorship. Now, the Young Turks, Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur have always been pro-censorship, and that was a big bone of contention while I was there. It was really hard to work with them over that. That's a hard thing. That's a core principle. But they are at their core right-wingers. And that's why they're always pro-war, pro-imperialism, and pro-censorship, and anti-union. That's what the Young Turks are, and that's why Roger Waters was trending. He has a huge platform, and he uses it to promote things like Palestinian rights, Julian Assange. That's where he is right there, by the way. What if you don't notice? They're at a rally for Julian Assange. They have Julian Assange's father with them. So that's what they're doing. And Roger Waters uses his platform for good, not to push pro-war propaganda to get more brown people killed in Syria, Jank. That's the difference. Or to get more brown people killed in Libya, or to get more brown people killed in Venezuela, or to get more brown people killed in Bolivia. Whatever right-wing claptrap imperialist bullshit Jank and the Young Turks happen to be pushing this week. So that's why Roger Waters is still relevant, Jank, because he's a true artist, and his art is timeless. And it speaks about timeless truths. Okay. So Roger Waters is the only boomer rock star that matters. The only one who's managed to avoid becoming a cartoon. God bless him. And that was said by Eve63.
That's Eve6.
That's their whose Twitter account? Oh, that's
the
band?
Eve6. Yeah. They're big lefties. I've interviewed them before. I think they're cool dudes. And Max, the singer, who runs that Twitter account, and his tweets are hilarious. I don't know what that's in reference to. 6'3". I mean, that must be some kind of joke that I'm not familiar with. But that's just Eve6. That's just their Twitter account, and his tweets are very, very funny. Like, and he makes fun of himself too. Like he'll refer to himself as the Heart in the Blender guy. Because they're
now are the Eve6? Are they like what the Dead Kennedys were when I was a kid?
I mean, they're not a punk band. Like, musically, they're not like that. But they're politically outspoken. I don't know if it's reflected in their songs as much. But yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think any of them have ever run for
I think
office.
The Dead Kennedys became Biden supporters or something, didn't they?
Well, Jello. I mean, I don't know where Jello is personally. I mean, he ran as a Green back in the day. He's no longer affiliated with the band, so I don't know what the rest of the band is up to. I know they tweeted some Biden stuff, but I have no idea like where they're at. But yeah, Jello was a big Green Party guy back in the day. I don't know if he still is.
Just think about that. Mark Zuckerberg wants to use Roger Waters' Pink Floyd song. And he says, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is so insufferable that he has good musicians not letting him use their music, and he's not even running for office.
That is so great.
Mark Zuckerberg is like the Ronald Reagan of Jeff Bezos. Okay, so here's some more.
And I don't know what to say.
They said Aaron Mate yelled at me. And so
Aaron Mate lied. Aaron Mate. Everyone cares what Aaron Mate has to say, right?
Okay.
The guy who denies that Syrian children were killed with chemical attacks. Yeah.
And
fuck
gets
Aaron
paid
Mate.
by the...
Yeah, fuck you.
Anyway,
let's move on.
Russians.
Let's end the freaking pod. I can't.
Okay, see, that's what happens.
I can't stay.
She didn't know it, but they were ending their podcast by doing this. She said, let's just end the podcast. You did. You did.
I can't stand that guy, and I can't stand the very intentional disinformation they put out there in regard to disgusting dictators around the world. The very people they seem to be working for, to be quite honest with you. Let's move on.
Such a
All right,
liar.
we're done.
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Such a liar.
If Aaron Mate is
She's such a cry bully, an indignant liar. And now watch Jank. He's going to do the same thing. What? This is a real grown-up person. Do you ever watch Good Night and Good Luck? Watch what he does. Watch this.
feels really warm in his Russian blanket. He's like, oh, but the Russian government favors me. He should be super proud of that. Way to go, Aaron. You did it. Okay.
Yeah.
And
fuck
gets
Aaron
paid by
Mate.
the
Yeah, fuck you.
Gets
Anyway,
paid
let's
by the
move on.
Russians.
Let's end the freaking pod.
So I just want to show you what Roger Waters had said about the Young Turks, just so you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
What, do you want to comment?
Yeah, of course, sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
fucking stupid fat prick. And as long as they're throwing the F word around. I mean, and that woman, I haven't the faintest idea who she is, but she obviously can't read or write. All you have to do is a little bit of research to understand that all the research that has gone into the OPCW debacle and the huge story that is the OPCW, sorry, and the huge story that lies behind that has been completely ignored by the mainstream media because it's inconvenient. And when you actually look at the work that Aaron Mate, for a start, but Grey Zone in general do in trying to bring us, we the people, the truth about what's actually going on in our world, to listen to that garbage and disgusting and foul-mouthed, I have to say. That young lady, well, I hesitate to call her a young lady because she's clearly not in the prime of youth, but that's neither here nor there. But the fact is, how dare she pontificate on some tin pot fucking show like the Fabulous Young Turks or whatever they call themselves? Well, who the fuck are they? I mean, to claim that she knows that Bashar Assad made a chemical attack to kill his own children or the children of his people is beyond condemnable. Is that a word?
I think so.
Yes.
I shouldn't really be expending any breath on it because it's so pitiful and pathetic. I am not going to waste my borrow on whatever the young fucks are because that was disgusting.
Yeah.
And I've heard bad things about them for a long time, but they purport to be thinking young people who have an alternative. They're not.
Yeah,
they are the status quo bolstering what the great American empire believes, and obviously they're great supporters of regime change in Syria.
Yes, they are. And Roger Waters is a fucking legend. Yes, he is. So here's a little bit more Roger Waters.
I could stand here all day railing against the dying of the light. Should we not stand bulldog-like, with arms linked, ranks closed in front of our brothers and comrade Julian Assange? And when the lackeys of the American empire come to take him, to destroy him, and hang him in the hedge as a warning to frighten future journalists, we will look them in the eye and steadfast, with one voice, we will intone, over my dead fucking body.
That's fantastic. So there's a guy sticking up for Julian Assange, whereas the Young Turks and Cenk Uygur are smearing Julian Assange. And I showed you that. I don't want to show it to you again. Go watch the video where it's gross what they did to Julian Assange. They said he was a Trumper, and they said he couldn't be trusted. Julian Assange. They said he doesn't have a good track record. Julian Assange has an impeccable track record. WikiLeaks has never had to retract anything. Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about that because Roger Waters is a real hero, not only artistically, but his work for it's anti-war work and his political activism. He's a real hero. And those are the kind of people that the Young Turks smear and dismiss and get called out by. And I'm glad to be in the Roger Waters camp. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.